Good afternoon, I'm Jody Pitcock with the USDA Livestock, Poultry, and Grain Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri with your National Feeder Cattle Market Summary for week ending October 16th. Middle of last week, the feeder cattle complex started to gain some ground and start trending higher. That carried over into this week. That momentum continued on through the first part of this week, and we've seen yearling feeder steers selling $5 to $15 higher, with the highest advances being seen at the first part of this week as they were trying to catch up from previous losses earlier in the month. The direct sales were $3 to $10 higher, and feeder calves traded $10 to $20 higher, with instances as high as $25 to $30 higher in some areas. Many buyers over the last several weeks have been on the sidelines waiting to see where this collapse was going to end, and middle of last week we seen this momentum start changing and feeder calf prices starting to trend upward, and that momentum carried on into this week, and we've seen a good recovery from the lows that we're seeing during the first part of the month. And feeder prices, where feeder prices earlier in the month had fell to a point where that caused some demand to increase, and feeders cattle became attractive to the buyers once again. And from the middle of last week to the middle of this week, we've seen strings of calves weighing 500 to 700 pounds that were again reaching that $2 and higher mark as the demand improved greatly. Many steer calves weighing 5 to 550 came to the market and now are selling in that range from 220 to 240 throughout the southern and the northern plains. All anticipation in the cattle industry are leery, but no one wants to be caught with empty pens or pastures when profit opportunities may arise. Cattle futures on Friday closed sharply higher at triple-digit gains to end the week higher after a slight pullback on Thursday. We did finally trade some feeder cattle, some fed cattle this week, late in the week. We've seen the fed cattle market continue on that uptrend and gain from last week's advanced market. It finished this week anywhere from $8 to $10 higher on a live basis, and mostly $8 higher on a dress basis. And this was all on the shirt tails of that upward momentum that started middle of last week. In addition to this, the box beef has finally found its footing and is following the cattle markets, whether it's the futures or the fed prices, and we've seen some higher gains this week. Retailers are starting to look at beef as a ideal item for features, especially getting out front between that Thanksgiving and Christmas time frame, which normally you do see a little bit higher number of beef items in retail ads during that time. Lower retail prices with beef items should also help to stimulate the domestic market as well. Box beef closed 47 cents higher on Friday at $211.69. That compares to a $203 that we seen last Friday. Ideal harvest weather across much of the Midwest had the combines and the grain trucks rolling pretty hot and heavy. Corn harvest as of right now is at 42% complete. That's compared to 27% last week. Soybean harvest is well underway and barreling down at 62% compared to 42% that we seen last week. Along with that, wheat harvest, they're putting that wheat in the ground at a pretty good clip. They're at 64% planted compared to only 49% last week. So with this nice weather, if we keep going at this rate, we should see a lot more corn or grain being taken out of the field and a lot more wheat being put in the ground over the course of the next week. This completes this afternoon's update. We sure appreciate you checking in. Have a good weekend, and thank you.